Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. One of my favorite things about Halo Infinite's campaign is the weapon variants you can get by beating a special class enemy. So for a fun idea for a video and playthrough, I decided to ask the question, what if Halo Infinite had a gun game mode? And if it wasn't obvious enough, I am talking about the campaign and not the multiplayer, just to clear that up. So how will this work? Let me explain. Just like gun game in Call of Duty, you start off with one weapon and still have a melee attack, but you can only move on to the next weapon by killing an enemy with your current gun. So with that explained, the concept is pretty much the same here. I'll explain the more intricate details as we go along, and before we get started, we're getting close to 1k subs, if we haven't already reached it by the time this releases. So if you want to share your support, do feel free to leave a like and subscribe. So like in COD, I'm only allowed to use the pistol until I can kill my first main boss, Tremonius. Once I kill him, I am allowed to acquire my next weapon, but I have to earn it by killing a special class target with my current weapon, and then can pick up their weapon. That is essentially how this is going to work. The first level wasn't hard because I mainly just sped past almost every enemy to try and conserve my ammo because I didn't want to resort to melee if I didn't have to. But I did end up retconning this rule later on. And trying to conserve my ammo was pretty easy because there was plenty of kinetic ammo crates lying around. Mission 2, which was home to my first boss encounter, was also easy. Same thing as the first level, I just did a lot of skipping, falling to my death.
Look at this place. It's beautiful.
And only fighting when absolutely necessary because I didn't know how many bullets it would take to kill Tremonius. While making my way through the level, I got my hands on the enhanced shield module, then continued forth. I made it to the elevator room, powered it back up, and took care of any stragglers from a safe distance. Once they were all taken care of, it was time to bring down the big man himself, Tremonius. To start, I killed the jackals that came down with him so I didn't have to try to juggle two other enemies while fighting him. His shields went down with about 2 clips of the sidekick, and I tried to utilize the environment to help. So yeah, whenever I saw a fusion coil, you can count on the fact that I definitely used it, but oh well. This one's for fun anyways. While trying to refill my ammo, I got disrespected by the heavily armored ape.
This is the man we so fear!
Second go around of the fight, I decided to use melee to bring down his shields, and then he would use the sidekick to lower his health. It took a lot of bullets, and thankfully there was an ammo crate nearby because if there wasn't, I'd have to finish off Tremonius with melee, which I didn't want to do. But with Tremonius now down for the count, that allows me to hunt down my next weapon, not before clearing out his base and claiming it as my own. Sorry, I'm gonna have to excuse that, I'm still perfecting my swings. But once I cleared out his outpost, I hopped into a pelican to unlock a fob so I can find my first target. One captured fob later, and I have my eyes set on Vagadoon? Yep, you're definitely my first victim. I got a little sidetracked and went Spartan Core hunting to upgrade my grapple cooldown and shields a bit. Eventually I did end up at Akro's hideout and had an absolute blast trying to kill him with only the sidekick. Him being invisible and using a sword made for a terrible time because the time to actually land any hits on him was short. With what little ammo I had left, I was able to finish him off with the sidekick and claim my new weapon, the Duelist Energy Sword. I wasn't very strict on using just the one weapon either. I allowed the use of both my newest weapon and the one I had previously just to make it a tad easier. Now that I'm my new weapon of choice, I can progress the story further, with the next mission being the tower. It wasn't until after gaining the sword that I realized that was a bad choice. After literally every hit, the battery drains. So for majority of the mission and later on the boss fight as well, I just punched everything to death.
Welcome to my tower, Master Chief. It is where you will be broken.
How honorable, I think. The start of the fight was rough because I went in guns blazing, wait, scratch that. Blade handle blazing. I kept wailing on him, but Chaklock didn't care for that too much because he decided to cloak and kill me.
As expected.
Second time around, I beat him into submission and the fight was over. I freed Spartan Griffin, but he died due to his injuries. I guess that's what he gets for being a mass-produced Spartan 4. Either way, rip my guy. With another story boss eliminated, that's another new weapon I can claim. I captured a new fob and scat out for my next victim, Briglard. I'm not entirely sure why I settled on a plasma pistol as my new weapon, but whatever I guess. Killing Briglard and all of his crew was very easy, and especially since I was only punching them. With the unbound plasma pistol in my arsenal, I may now move forward onto the next mission. The decision to use the plasma pistol would only make some of the later boss fights harder for myself, so I really didn't do myself any favors there. I worked on capturing a few more fobs, that way I could open up the map more and pick out my next weapon / target. After some more fob humping... What? After some fob hunting, I went to the excavation site and continued as normal. Taking out the cooling pylons proved to be a bit difficult because the sheer amount of banished forces and the charging brutes were cracked out apparently. When I destroyed the second pylon, I saw a brute who was, yeah. Unfortunately, I got bested by a suicide grunt, so I had to destroy the second cooling pylon. again. On top of having to destroy the cooling pylon many times, the plasma pistol just sucks. Eventually I did destroy the pylons and decided to set up a trap for Bassus, a massive pileup of fusion coils. Well, I say massive, but I don't think 3 coils count. So I gotta rethink my strategy. Perfect. Now let's try this again. Just gotta strip his shields first, and... With Bassus now being nothing more than a distant memory, it was time to find my next target and weapon. I settled on Balcarus and his modified Mangler. Taking him and his crew out was more annoying than it was hard because they didn't give me any time to breathe or recover. And Balcarus fights almost exactly like Tremonius, so his patterns were pretty easy to read. Just his ground pound ability made it harder for me to keep the distance between me and him. After a few deaths, I decided to use a mix of my previous weapon, the Duelist Energy Sword, and the Plasma Pistol, which certainly helped me clear out his crew and claim my new weapon, the Riven Mangler. Now I can continue on with the story. Same thing as the excavation site, the conservatory was annoying as compared to being hard. This variation of the Mangler also shoots 3 shots within 1, so that definitely helped with crowd control. I was also introduced to the skimmers in this level, and they were nothing more than a thorn in my side, so that was fun, to put it lightly. The only hard part of this level was the mini boss fight with the 2 brute chieftains. It seemed like no matter how I approached them, they would get the drop on me and turn me into an empty shell of a Spartan.
The scum crossed blood.
I'm dead already, you can stop now. For the first chieftain, I just laid thick into him with a bunch of headshots and he was donezo. As for the second one, I baited him into a fusion coil trap and laid thick into him as well. One elevator ride up and we meet this weird lizard lady who thinks she's more important than she actually is. I guess you didn't like that comment. Ow. Since there wasn't any story boss in that last level, I had to continue on with the plasma pistol and the Mangler for the next one. When I got back outside, I picked up the nearby Spartan core, then headed straight to the hunters blocking my path. I used every fusion coil at my disposal to help kill them. The first one went down pretty easy, but once it did go down, the second one got enraged and fought more aggressively. I decided to utilize the drop wall ability so I can stand still and shoot without being shot back. Besides, I have a bad aim anyways. With the hunters down, I can head up the gravity lift and meet Adjutant Resolution, who is my next story boss. His fight was not hard at all, just focus on one arm at a time and get as much damage in as you can while he's down. Rinse and repeat this process for every arm and eventually his head too, then he'll be down in no time. At this point you already know how the process goes. Kill a main boss, I can kill a special target and acquire their weapon. For this go around, I decided to take out Bip Bap, or at least try to. With him and his crew taken care of, I got the Calcine Disruptor. Also, I was well aware while doing this challenge I could have picked stronger weapons, but where's the fun in that? I don't like this mission, and even on a good day, so I did whatever I could to help speed the process along. At the first AA gun, I opened up the doors, destroyed the core of the gun, and repeated this process for the other 2. Now let's get into the good stuff. The Brute Brothers and Spartan Killers, Hyperius and Tavares. Yeah, this fight was not so fun. Taking on 2 aggressive Brute Chieftains while fighting their army with nothing more than 2 handguns proved to be very difficult. The first chieftain I focused on was Tavares since he was separated from everyone and had a bunch of fusion coils around him for easy shield stripping. As I was getting close to killing him, he got a few good shots on me and sent me into the afterlife.
Your friends died in agony, Spartan. Alone.
Second go around, I was able to kill Tavares and hijacked Hyperius to get him out of his chopper. But as I was taking out some of his army, they got the drop on me. Alright, so new strategy. Hijack everyone so I don't get splattered again. After committing a few acts of Grand Theft Auto, I tried to take out his crew first, but yet again... After dying a few more times, I got into this flow of punching, shooting, and swinging away from Tavares. Eventually that strategy worked and I was able to focus on the other brother. I took out some of his crew, made sure to hijack him again, took out the rest of his crew, then finally centered my attention towards him. I used the disruptor to strip his shields and went in for the kill. After a sentimental cutscene between Chief and Esparza, I captured the rest of the remaining fobs and picked out my next 2 weapons. And I say 2 because there was 2 bosses in that last fight. My first target being Rithcole, however you pronounce that, who carries a modified kneeler that can home in unlocked targets. Taking out Rith and their crew was probably the easiest special target I've dealt with up to this point, but with that the weapon was acquired and I may now move on to the next one. And who is that, you might be asking? Inka Saham. I don't know. Who has a modified pulse carbine. I forgot to stock up on ammo before heading out, so killing him and his crew was more difficult than it needed to be, and especially since there was shade turrets in the area. I kept my distance and meleeed all of them once I ran out of ammo, and after about 8 minutes of running, hiding, and punching, I took out the crew, and as for Inka, he was not much of an issue. With the next 2 weapons acquired, I can move forward. I won't spend too long talking about the actual mission, because it was as simple as getting to the spire, killing the banished at the spire, collecting the data from the spire, rinse and repeat 3 more times. So nothing too interesting. Once I did get the data from all 3 spires, I can now head into the command spire and continue with the mission. I ignored any and all enemies along the way, had an easy time taking out these hunters because the pinpoint needler is OP, and jumped down this hole. One slow gondola ride later, I located the Nexus, plugged in all the power crucibles, deployed Cortuna, and watched as Chief tried to delete her. After a bit of an argument, I headed up the grav lift into the spire, traveled through the level like normal, and made an error in my judgment. I also got evaporated into thin air. After those few mishaps, I finally made it to the next story boss, which was Adjutant Resolution. Again. The fight goes exactly the same as the last time, but this time around he has allies and a stronger sense of determination. Second go around, I played a little bit safer and took him down without a problem. Well, that's the story boss down. Now for the harder part of the level. The 3 phantoms that drop in and try to kill you. Thankfully there was an unlimited refills on kinetic and plasma ammo for this fight because it took many shots and refills. After 10 minutes and many bullets, I destroyed them all and witnessed the Esparza being put into harm's way. Well, he can wait. Gotta get my new weapon first. I feel like getting my sniping on, so let's take out Barath and their crew. That was much easier than I anticipated. Either way, I now have the Stalker Rifle Ultra. I suppose it's probably about time to save Esparza. The repository wasn't a very difficult level either because I ran past everything, except for these 2 brute chieftains. They were a real pain.
You stood no chance, human.
There seems to be a trend here with these chieftains. After a few more tries and many more deaths, I was able to take both of them out, and with the help of some nearby fusion coils. With them taken care of, I sped past the rest of the level and I was able to hit the road. Excuse me, pardon me, coming through. Sorry, I'm in a bit of a rush. I'm running out of hard drive space, no time to fight. When I got inside the House of Reckoning, I had to resort to melee and fusion coils because I ran out of ammo almost as soon as I got there. The only difficult part about the multiple floors was the banished hunters fight, because they did not mess around. Once I killed both the hunters, I completely bypassed the elevator and took my own way up. Also, don't mind me, just gonna appreciate Jega's entrance into this fight.
Meet your end. Say goodbye.
I still believe this guy isn't dead. He just dipped out like a coward. Also, when I played this game for the first time, I absolutely loved the mission objective. And as unfortunate as it was, his entrance and mission objective doesn't do his boss fight justice because he was far easier than the hunters I encountered minutes prior. Before heading to Escharum, I fast traveled to my next target to get my new weapon. I decided upon Ik Novus for his modified skewer to help easily take out Escharum and later on the Harbinger. It should come as no surprise, but Ik Novus, the brute chieftain that he is, gave me a hard time as well. It took me a couple tries to kill him, and only because he had the scrap cannon, which does a lot of damage per shot. Once he was down for the count, I took out the rest of his crew and got the volatile skewer. Let me just fill back up on ammo, and then we can make our way back to Escharum. Phase 1 wasn't too difficult, it was just annoying because he also had a scrap cannon. I'm really starting to dislike those things. Once you get his health down low enough, he activates this shield that protects him from any damage but transfers it to Esparza. All you have to do in this part is destroy the relay and he can get back to giving Escharum the beatdown that he deserves. Repeat the relay step 3 more times and it'll be time for phase 2, which is only harder because Escharum's ungodly speed.
This is your victory.
Like seriously dude, just look at that leap. And one more for good measure.
I'll reward incompetence.
Thankfully in the room there was a plasma ammo crate so I could still rely on my stalker rifle. The best strategy I came up with was just to play keep away and shoot him from a distance. This process took a few tries and many minutes, but it did end up working. With Escharum down, I can now go out for my next and final weapon. To help deal with the Harbinger and her army of banished, I settled on Arthok and his modified Ravager. I took out Arthok and his crew from a distance using mostly the skewer. Once most of them were dead, I headed down and picked off the rest that were still alive and picked up the Ravager. Now it's time to finish off this journey. Back at the Silent Auditorium, I killed all the banished here and with mostly melee to help conserve ammo. In the next room, there's a pair of banished hunters that I need to kill to progress on. Besides this one death here, they were pretty easy to take out, and especially because of the current weapons I was carrying. I continued through the auditorium while bypassing any enemies I came across. Encountered Resolution again, but on more friendly terms. Got an exposition elevator ride up, and made it to the room the Harbinger was in. The first wave of banished lackeys weren't anything special. I just killed them, then went to give this underdeveloped character a beating. Same thing with wave 2 of banished. I meleeed them, conserved ammo, then gave Harbinger another beating. Well, once I was able to catch up with her. And surprise, surprise, but wave 3 was also easy. The only difficult part was the chieftain who felt like disobeying the laws of physics to close the distance. Thankfully, he somehow missed and I was able to kill all of them without having to restart. I gave the weird lizard lady her final beatdown, then listened to her stupid sob story about how the Forerunners did her wrong. Welcome to the club, pal. Now, before ending this video off, may I showcase one of my favorite moments of Chief's humor.
Was that you?
Would it help if I said yes?
Probably.
Well, that was a fun way to play through Infinite. I hope you all enjoyed it. The regular challenge runs will make a return, of course. I just wanted to keep it simple this time around and just have a little bit of fun. Also, hey, we're getting really close to 1,000 subscribers and I have a fun idea for a video that includes viewer input. So if you want to be a part of it at all you have to do is pick a level from one of these 6 Halo games and comment a weird, hard, or just flat out strange challenge for me to do. That's all I have to say on that topic, but if you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.